Morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Casey. It's Thursday morning at 11 o'clock, and I've decided to do Coffee with Casey every Thursday because the market is moving. There's a lot of money at stake. There's a lot of people making and losing money that we want to make sure we stay in touch with. So let me give you one caveat before we start. What's happening right this second, this week, last week, I have to be very careful about. These are ongoing contracts. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake, so I can't talk about some of them in generalities. I can, but specifics I can only talk with my clients that I'm working with. So I'll just have that caveat, if you will. But today we're going to talk about how to make the 10% COVID premium. Okay, there is a 10% COVID premium. If you do it right, if you do it the easy way, we're going to get that 7, 8, 9, 10% bonus. If we do it wrong, we're going to lose that bonus and lose some money. So I want to make sure that everybody understands this. Let me give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about, and I can talk about this. We had a house, we listed it for 1.3 million. We told the sellers to do certain things, replace some carpeting and things like that. They did it, they complied. We told them that 1.3 is what the house is worth. So let's go on at 1.3 and let it roll up to 1.35 plus or whatever we can get. We got 1.477, that's just settled, so I can disclose it now. That's $177,000 in week one of a bonus we got. Neighbor called us and asked us to come over and look at their house. We gave them similar advice on fixing up the house and getting it ready for today's buyers, which is really what you need to do. And I'm going to talk about how you get this 10% premium. But the neighbors interviewed somebody else. And I said, fix the house up, put it on for a certain number, 1.45. And another realtor said, you don't need to fix up anything. Let's put on for 1.585. So $140,000 more than we had basically advised them to go on the market with. So after 7 days or 8 days, that's the critical time that you've got to sell your house. That's when the premiums are paid out. After that, it goes downhill. So after 8 days, the house did not sell. They reduced the price to $140,000. So now they're at the price I advised, but the house is in bad condition. They've lost that window of opportunity. And the window of opportunity is 7 days of coming soon, 7 days on the market. So yeah, it's 14 critical days lost. So this was a huge mistake that I want to make sure that cost them $100,000 to $150,000. So please, I want, if you're, taking your time to watch a Casey Samson video or a Coffee with Casey video, I want to make sure that it's worth your time. And I don't think there's ever a time when more money is at stake. So how do we get it? How do we, where's the market? How do we get this premium? I'm going to share my screen with you all real quick. And I'm going to get on to, as we know, the inventory is driving this. And this was a chart I showed you last week. And this is a chart that shows that, our inventory is normally around 4,200 for the first 5 months of the year. And this is a look at from 2011 all the way up. Now, I keep emphasizing 2015 because in 2014, prices were going up. And then everyone decided to throw their house on the market in 2015. So you can see the inventory went up, prices got soft, but we maintained that inventory and then it's trying to dwindle back down. Here is the COVID response where it went down dramatically. And then this year we are up to 38.94. Now what I did was, that was last week. This week, what I did was I took the first 25 days of May and said, well, let's compare that all the way back to 214 and let's see how that looks. So here's where we're at. You can see we were at about 2,000, 2,100. Down here, we dropped a little bit. Remember, our inventory went up here, prices got soft, so it went down a little bit. So there's your numbers. Here is the COVID numbers from last year. So it dropped basically in half. Now, we keep talking about the COVID premium will end when inventory overtakes demand and interest rates start to rise because of a thing called inflation. So this is showing us that now the inventory is back. It's back very strong. This is more than our average. In fact, it's a record. As you can see here, for the first 25 days of May, we have not got this much inventory since 2000, since not of this record. So it's here, it's coming. We would normally have $10 million on the books getting ready to launch coming out. We'd have 25 million on the books getting ready to come out. So I think you're going to see a lot of inventory. So speed is of, time is of the essence. We're trying to launch houses as fast as we can. So we're still getting advantage of the COVID. We are selling houses at 150,000 over list price if we do it right. We're not seeing as many contracts, but the contracts that are coming in are strong. So here's the thought. I am more cautious today than I was 2 weeks ago. What's happening is making me more cautious. More inventory, fewer contracts, still solid, still strong. People have still been losing, I've still lost 4 or 5 contracts. Now they're coming out of the gate strong. But my confidence is I'm pulling back on the risk. So instead of going off at 1.35, I may be going off at 1.3, or we may be advising our clients to go off at 1.3. Instead of 1.45, maybe it's 1.4. Now that puts us in a bigger buyer pool, and that gives us more opportunity for that 1 or 2 buyers that see it to come out of the gate and bid on it. Okay. So am I a little more cautious today than I was? I'm not as aggressive today as I may have been a month ago or 2 months ago. But market's still good. Market's still hot. We just competed for a contract the other day at the 415 level, and there were 20 contracts. Price went over 1.7. So, for the really good properties, for the properties that are in good condition, for the properties that are in the right location, for the properties that are set up correct, functionally good, nice yards, still a good market. If you have a pool, off the charts. The pools are now getting premiums as they never have before. So the property that I referenced that went from 1.5 to 1 over 1.7 did have a nice pool, did have the nice yard. So I'm telling you that people are looking for the resort properties. They're looking for, more office space. And I will tell you, here's one theory about this that I really hadn't thought about until the other day. We're talking about residential real estate, right? We're talking about somebody's home that they live in. Okay. Well, it's kind of turning into partial residential, partial commercial, because now they're not at home. They're not at work. They're at home. They've converted a portion of their home to their office. So now you have a kind of a combination of residential commercial that we haven't seen before. And I don't think a lot of people are going back to their office. We've advanced on Zoom, and like you're seeing right here, we've advanced enough that, I think people are now deciding they're working from home. They need to invest more money in the house, the commercial aspect of it. And there you go. There's our prices. So we look at this inventory right now, and we talk about these $10,000 premiums, but who's really getting the premiums? I mean, is everybody getting the premium? And the answer is no. Okay, so here's what today's thing is about. How we get that 10% premium. Homes that sell within the first 7 days get it. Homes that sell over 30 days don't get it. So if your house comes on and it's not selling, we're not going to get that premium. We're fighting like crazy. Now, 40 out of our 41 listings have all been in this category. So they've sold in the first 7 days, no problem. Everybody's getting premiums. Everybody's happy. We look like, geniuses. Boom, boom, boom. 1 out of the 40 didn't, and we'll struggle and work through that and get that thing done as best we can. But if your house goes over 30 days, you're looking at an average, okay, of 97% of your list price, as opposed to 106% of the list price in the first 7 days. So after 7 days, everybody thinks there's something wrong with the house, okay, in this market. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to harness the fear. So fear in this case can be good and bad. Fear that I might miss out on this house. What do they call it? FOMO, fear I might miss out. So that's the one that's making people throw down $100,000 to $150,000. Fear that there's something wrong with the house, maybe on a busy road, or it may have a bad backyard, or it may have a weird floor plan, or it may be poorly built, or whatever. After 7, 10, 15, 20 days, a whole different fear cuts in, and that is there's something wrong with that house. I'm afraid if I buy it, I can't sell it. It's a weird fear. The same fear that's driving prices too high is fear that's maybe driving prices too low. So we want to harness the good fear, not the bad fear. So is it critical that we get out in this first 7 days? Absolutely. It's so critical. And I'm going to take this off for a second. It is so critical that we get out in the first 7 days, that we spend time, energy, money during the coming soon period to make sure it's going to get sold in that first week. Or we do everything in our powers. 40 out of 41 did. We do everything in our powers to make sure we can try and get that thing sold, contracts in, let the fear grab the buyers, let them push the prices up, let them, give us some big numbers. So that's what we're trying to harness. Now, an agent called me up and said, my house has been on the market for 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on. Well, I guided him back to the MLS, to our Bright system. And in there's a thing called the hit counter. And that brings up all of your listings and how many people are in the buyer pool, how many agents have seen it, how many buyers have seen it, how many buyers favor this house, or how many buyers are saying this is a possible house. Well, when we looked at that, he only had one. So if you do this in the coming soon period and you see you only have one person that's favoring this house, that is not enough to bring in contracts. You need 6, 8, 10, 12, depending on the house. You may need 15 to generate one contract. Okay. So depending on the house, you need to do all of your work in coming soon. So now we get into how do we get the $10,000, the $100,000, $150,000 premium, or in the case of this week, $177,000 premium. How do we get that? So we start with preparing the house. The couple today, in the example that I gave you, that's going to do it the hard way, didn't want to put a dime in, didn't want to pull up green carpets, didn't want to expose hardwood floors, didn't want to paint rooms that had wallpaper, didn't want to do anything. That's a huge mistake. It's just a massive mistake. I know people don't want to do it, but really you need to convert your house from a traditional home and at least make it look like it's transitional. And it's not hard. It's not expensive. It's a little bit of paint, maybe some carpet. It's hardware. It's lighting fixtures. It's very simple. I don't think we spend more than $5,000 on most houses on critical items that need to be done. Maybe a hallway needs to get painted. It's wallpaper painted. Boom, $75,000 premium for the sellers that never would have got it had there been wallpaper in the foyer. Okay. So people, half the people are local, half the people are not local. So we have to appeal to that group online. It must be prepared correctly. It must be photographed correctly. It must be presented online correctly. It must be marketed correctly. So all of those things, we've got to make sure that the home, don't say, well, I'm not doing that. Well, I'm just trying to get the premium. I'm trying to get the $50,000, $100,000 multiple contract, no home inspection contracts. That's what we're trying to tell people to do. So on pricing, there is a value of the house based on what the comps are at, current comps that have settled in the last 160 days. There's a current price. And that is varied by the condition of the home. So don't get carried away with overpricing and trying to get all that money up front. It doesn't matter where you list the house. It doesn't matter. People are bidding 100, 150. In fact, I'll make this statement, 2 statements. 1, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. There's also a thing that drives the market called greed. The sellers that get greedy and put the house on for too high, not going to get it. Not only that, but when you drop, it's too late. You've missed the window of opportunity. you've missed your chance of getting the $100,000 premium. You're going down, and there's nothing kind of you can do about it. So we want to make sure we stay with these principles, that we price it at market value. Let the market decide what the premium's going to be. Let the market jack it up 150,000, 175,000. $175,000 is a lot of money. And so you cannot underprice a house. You cannot do it. So when an agent walks in and I say 145 and they say 1585, don't say I'd like to get 1585, because if you go up at 1585, you're not going to get it. If you go on at 1.45 and we do the right work, might get it. I get it. So prepare the house for the transitional people. Price the house at its market value and slide it under a very large threshold. So let me give you an example of thresholds. Thresholds are every $25,000. Major threshold is every $50,000. That's where the buyer pools are. People set their computers, look for everything under 950, 1 million, 1,050,000. So they're setting it under that. So the major thresholds are $100,000. So let's say I have a house that I think might be worth 1.325. Definitely staying under 1.3. Definitely. The reason is if I go over 1.3, I wipe out 75% of my market. Those are the buyer pool that's going to push it up. So we don't want them to miss the house. In fact, let me tell you this. Buyers are now, if they're thinking of buying a $1.4 million house, they're looking at $1.3 million houses. And they're doing that because they know there's going to be a $100,000 premium that they're going to have to pay. So if I could pay 1.4, I kind of don't want to look at 1.4s because they keep going for 1.5, 1.55. I want to look for 1.3s. So when I bid it to 1.4, 1.45, I can get that house. So they're literally adjusting their buying and their thresholds to looking at less expensive houses. Okay. So when we price it, we're going to stay under the major thresholds, closest one of either $50,000 or $100,000. Okay. The major is the million. If you're at 999, don't go to $1,040,000. Go to 999. Let them bid that sucker up to 1.1, 1.15. The only mistake you can make is if you go over that million, you lose 75% of your buyer pool. That's a massive number of people. And those are the people that are going to bid your house up. So let's not make that mistake. The other thing we need to do is you need to market for people outside of this area. There are a lot of people coming into town. There are a lot of people looking. So let's say I have a house in Vienna. They're looking for a house in McLean. Well, our houses are $200,000 cheaper and you get more house. So we would target buyers looking for the same price home in McLean, Falls Church, Arlington, Alexandria. And if they're looking for a home in Arlington, all of a sudden our house will show up on their Wall Street Journal feed, or will show up on their Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever. So they're not looking for us, they're looking in some other area, but they're gonna see us. So you need to go outbound, get the buyers, make them look at your property. So let's say I have one in Herndon. Where would I go if I'm in Herndon? I'm going right to Vienna. I'm marketing. I'm finding buyers looking in Vienna for the same price house. Only if they went out to Oak Hill or they went out to Franklin Farms or Chantilly Highlands, they could get twice the house for the money, or shave $300,000 off the price of the house. So when you're marketing, you need to market to people that aren't looking for your house. We already have the people that are looking for your house. We already have that buyer pool. But I am going to tell you that if somebody's looking in Arlington and they see the house in Vienna and they love it, they're willing to pay Arlington prices. Arlington prices are $150,000 to $200,000 more than Vienna prices. So wherever you are, if you're in Gainesville, you're finding people looking in Centerville and Chantilly. Well, if you just come down the highway a little farther, you can get to Gainesville. And the same with Ashburn, the same with Leesburg. So, you want to be thoughtful about where you're marketing this. And this is done in the coming soon period. Okay, so the last one is, once we've prepared the house, we've got the websites up, it looks great, it's fantastic. And I know that one of our agents Margaret, who taught generals how to do their, what do you call it? You know, their press conferences, keeps telling me, keep your hands down. Don't use your hands all the time. I know I do this all the time. So she's probably upset with me right now, but I'm not a general. So you want to make sure that we prepared for today's buyers. We priced it correctly. We've stayed under major thresholds. We've done the marketing we need to do using geofencing, Google Ads, you know, all the latest stuff that we can use today. And then we want to analyze the data. Now, for you realtors that don't have all that stuff, all you gotta do is just make sure it's in on coming soon. Just rely on just the realtors in your area. Look at your hit count. If your hit count says one favorite, you're in the wrong price range. You got to drop that price. You have to position your sellers that we're going to test this number incoming soon. And then if it doesn't work out, we need to drop the number. And we do it all the time. I would say if we launch 4 listings a week, 2 of them have to be adjusted because we're not getting the pull that we thought we could get on that house. So we do that all the time. But if we launch that listing and I'm at the wrong price and it takes me 30 days to get to the right price, guess what? That ain't the right price anymore. It's lower than that. So we don't want to get in a downward spiral. We must do the predictive analysis prior to launch. If we need to bite the bullet and drop our house $50,000 on the list price, so be it. Again, time and time again, we drop it 50 grand, we come out, and then we get $150,000 premium. We never would have got it if we sat at the one number that we were at. So the predictive analysis is critical. Okay, I'm gonna give you the final thing. This is a big deal. This is a huge, huge deal. So we present contracts all the time. We have 6 buyer agents, you know, Pat and Billy and Morgan and Kelly and Pam and Colby. I mean, all professionals, and they're bringing buyers out and submitting contracts. First question, do you accept escalation clauses? The answer from the agent is absolutely, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm just tired of talking about it, okay? So 2 ways contracts are written. One, you could submit with an escalation, which means everybody goes up in little increments. Or the other one is highest and best offer, no escalation clause. So what does that do? So let's say we submit a contract for 1.3. I know the buyer's willing to pay 1.45. He submits the contract for 1.3 with an escalation clause. He gets it for 1.327. He would have paid 1.45. So the listing agent just lost the seller $125,000 by allowing an escalation clause. So the first question I would ask if I was interviewing realtors is, do you guys use escalation clause? And now this is a fact. We get $100,000 to $150,000 over list price, and sometimes there's only one buyer. They're bidding against themselves. So when they come in at highest and best offers, and we say, I need your highest and best offer Monday at 2 o'clock. Just the power of being within the first 7 days drives the fear of I might miss out, fear of missing out. I might miss out on this house. They bid $150,000 over list price. They bid 170. They bid a lot of money over list price. They bid 100,000 over list price. They're the only buyers. That's it. Had I allowed a escalation clause, I would have lost my seller $150,000, and one was $175,000. So if you're outside of our area and you're interviewing agents, the first question out of your mouth is, do you allow escalation clauses? If you do, that agent could cost you $150,000. And if they say, no, you don't need anything to prepare this house, it's like, no, you really, we always need to do something. You always need to have something current. Now, 1 out of 5 houses I'll walk in and say, oh my God, this is perfect, because it is perfect. And Morgan's tougher than I am, and Keller's tougher than she is, and Colby's there. So Billy and all, they're not going to let a seller get away with a dated house. We're going to make sure it's in the proper condition. And they do that work. They make sure it's done and contractors are coming in and all that stuff. So, so that has to be done. But, you know, if somebody comes in and says you don't need to do it and price it at a big number of what you think you can get, you cannot do that. So this Coffee with Casey is going to save or make somebody $100, $150, $175,000. I hope this gets through to my sellers that we're dealing with. We talk about this in every meeting. We make sure we don't make mistakes, and that's why it's 40-1 right now. So today's Coffee with Casey is just about coming to a close. I hope this helped. I missed Billy today. Billy was is in the Outer Banks, and I'm going to have to leave and go try and get some money out of my younger brother, Danny, who runs Samson Properties. Try and get some money out of him on a golf course. So if you need me, you can call me tomorrow, 703-508-2535, or my email address is casey@caseysamson.com. There is $100,000 to $150,000 on the table if you know how to get it. If you follow the simple steps I had, prepare the house, price it correctly, stay under major thresholds, market the heck out of it to people that are not from this area or not looking in this area. And then do your predictive analysis. Make sure you're on the right buyer pool. And then, of course, highest and best offers, bring in the best stuff, make the most money. Our average deal, I think, is selling at 106% of list price, and that's where we need to be. Where's the market headed? We already know the inventory is here, more is on the way. So if you're selling, time is of the essence. And one other thing, if you're selling and can't find the right house to buy right now, sell it, rent for a year. The inventory is coming. So sell it. I know you don't want to, but it could be the difference between $150,000 or not. So we don't want to rent, but maybe for $150,000, we take a shot at that. So we're at a super peak right now with our houses. How long it stays there, we don't know. Whether it comes back down, we don't know. Market will determine that. Interest rates will determine that. Inventory will determine that. But we are at that peak. So if you're going to sell. You don't have to run. You don't have to buy right away. Go rent someplace. Go take a year off, and then come back when there's a ton of inventory. And then they're going, "Oh, we need buyers. We need buyers. We need buyers." All right. Nice talking to you. Thank you. Doorbell just rang, so the dog should be coming anytime now. My name is Casey Samson. I'll see you next week. Coffee with Casey at 11 o'clock, or give me a call or an email. Thanks. Bye.